Mark Denholm
at breakfast podcast.
Hello, welcome to episode 192 of the best bits of the Atom Radio Breakfast Show. And this is Mark Denholm from The Breakfast Show. And if you are listening to this on the morning that it releases, i.e. Saturday 1st of October, before midday, pinch and a punch and all that stuff. If you listen to it any other time, no, I don't extend that to you. On the way today, in the podcast, we have language problems. We have farting facts, queue jumping, and what queue would you like to jump, and a very good queue that could be jumped. Problems with numbers. We have revenge times 2. We have facts, and we have out-of-date currency and how would you spend it.
Mark Denholm
at breakfast podcast.
Friday's Euro Millions winner scooped £171,815,297.80, making them richer than both Harry Styles and Adele. Remember your mates, eh?
This is Mark Denholm
at breakfast.
Atom Radio.
You know, people say the English language is quite difficult. Well, I mean, I don't get like why everything has to have a gender in French, like le dog and la cat. One's male, one's female, but what if you've got a female dog or a male cat? That doesn't make any sense at all. But then, in terms of the English language, the G in bingo is pronounced twice. Bing-go. It's pronounced twice, so they say.
Mark Denholm at breakfast.
This is Atom Radio.
And in a slightly more jovial note as well, not that dying is ever jovial, but dead people fart right after dying. Does somebody stand there and check every person as they pass away and see whether they do the audible trump or not?
Mark Denholm
at breakfast podcast.
Morning and welcome to Tuesday. It is Mark Denholm at breakfast, banging out the anthems on Atom Radio. It's 10 minutes to 7 o'clock. I hope you are fine, fit and well. If you are a nice person, you're okay. But remember, an ugly personality can easily destroy a pretty face. So we're told. And I'd say that's true because the prettiest face means nothing if it's teamed with an ugly personality, does it? Beauty is in the eye of the beholder and that, but you will know damn fine if you have an ugly personality.
This is Mark Denholm
at breakfast.
Atom Radio.
We're going there. It's been a little while now, and I feel that it's safe and we can go there. We're talking queue jumping. Graham Norton has chimed in on the Holly and Phil scenario, saying that he too was offered a queue jump pass, but he turned it down because he didn't want to cop it in the neck for critics. He does go on to say Holly and Phil did nothing wrong, in his opinion, other than the fact that they didn't recognise how unpopular the move would be. I'd like to know today, on air at atomradio.co.uk, if you could have a queue jumping pass for anything, what would your queue jumping pass be for? Morning, Darren. I think we could all do with one of these, but then if we all had one, it would kind of nullify it, wouldn't it? If everyone had a queue jumping pass or something, then we'd all jump the queue and there'd be no ordinary queue because we'd all be queuing in the VIP queue jump queue and that wouldn't work either. But back to Darren's email. Darren says, I'd quite like a queue jump pass for the doctor's telephone appointment waiting list. And wouldn't we all? As I mentioned on this show last week, being on the radio, it's impossible to get a doctor's appointment because if you ring up at 8 o'clock, right, you've got the 8 o'clock news, and then out of that you've got to say something after the news, and then you've got a song, then you've got to say something. So you can't really be on hold for the 20-25 minutes it takes for them to answer you and tell you that all the appointments have already gone. It's a bit of a nuisance. I get what you're saying, Darren, and I'd quite like one of those as well, if I'm honest, but then if we all had one, then we'd all be in the VIP queue and the other queue would be empty and it'd be just as long, we'd just be in a different queue. So I get what you're saying, that there's going to have to be a limit on the number of these queue jump passes that were allowed, should they actually be real.
Mark Denholm
at breakfast podcast.
Studies show some people feel uncomfortable when the TV volume is not divisible by 2. I am those some people, although it's not just the TV volume for me. The air conditioning in the car as well. If it's not on an even number, I am just not comfortable. Even if I get in someone else's car, I'm not comfortable with that, and it's nothing to do with me.
This is Mark Denholm
at breakfast.
Atom Radio.
And a man put cash into his ex's bank account with references like tramp to get revenge. quite costly though, isn't it? Depending on how much he put into a bank account, don't you agree?
Mark Denham.
At breakfast. Podcast.
Streaming from Sale, banging out the anthems. This is Mark Denham at breakfast. Morning. A woman in Texas tricked a porch pirate, someone who nicks boxes from your porch, by leaving a fake package filled with dirty nappies. The thief took revenge on her by returning and smearing her door with them and then dumping cow manure on her car. Oh, no.
Mark Denham at breakfast.
This is Atom Radio.
If you are still going on holiday, buy your tickets on a Tuesday and always sit in the last row. Top tips from a flight attendant on money-saving travel tips, and the best way to snag free first-class updates as well. I'm not really going to get into that, if I'm honest. No, but if you do want to go, buy your tickets on a Tuesday and opt for the last row. Will apparently get you the best bargains if you are flying somewhere as part of your holiday.
This is Mark Denham.
At breakfast.
Atom Radio.
Just some facts for you for your Thursday morning, given we did do Wednesday Wisdom yesterday. There's a lesson hidden in everything. You just have to find it. Well, I can't really be bothered with the hide and seek, if I'm honest. The word verb, that is a noun. Well, I mean, there's a contradiction. Surely that's a contradiction already. The word verb is a noun. Crying is how your body speaks when your mouth can't explain the pain that you feel. Before sleeping, your mind, 90% of that will begin to imagine things that you would like to happen. Do you know what? And I know that this is dragging it out a little bit further than it should be. I do sometimes have some very, very, very vivid dreams that then when I wake up the next morning, I end up remembering the dreams and I think, well, hang on, did it happen or did it not happen? Is it true or is it not true? I find that quite confusing, if I'm honest. So yeah, now I know why. And one other thing as well, the brain naturally craves 4 things: food, sex, water and sleep. Well, I can help you with the food, because we did microwaves yesterday. Water, you can get that from the tap. And sleep, here I am ruining that for you by waking you up at the other. You're on your own.
Mark Denham.
At breakfast. Podcast.
Today is the last day that you can legally spend the paper 20 or paper £50 notes. If you've got the polymer ones, they are fine. They will remain legal tender. But as of the end of today, you can no longer spend the paper £20 notes or the paper £50 notes. And there are literally, I can't remember now if it's millions or billions of pounds worth of these still in circulation today. And what that means is there will be a mad rush, I would imagine, to spend 20 or £50 notes if they are the paper variety before they cease being legal tender as of the end of today. I would like to know on air at atomradio.co.uk. Let's imagine that you have a paper £50 note and you're not going to be boring. You're not going to take it to the bank and just bank it. I'd like to pay this in, please. No, you are going to spend your paper £50 note today before it ceases being legal tender. All right, morning, Martin. Thank you for your email. Martin says, as I've got to spend it today, I would take it and I'd top up the gas and I'd stick the heating on probably for around about half an hour. Well, actually, if you did it today, you could probably manage about 40 minutes. Whereas if you wait until tomorrow, if you buy the top up today and wait until tomorrow, when the prices go up by another 80%, you probably get around 20 minutes, to be fair, for around 50 quid. But anyway, good luck to you though, Martin. And I hope that you enjoy your 20 or so minutes of heating.
Mark Denham.
At breakfast. Podcast.
Not often you get serious out of me, but on a serious note, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom has probably led you astray in telling you that there is a £2,500 cap on energy. There is no such thing. As of today, energy price rises, 1st of October that is, energy price rises by 80%. And therefore, if you think, well, do you know what, I'm going to have my heating set at 30 all winter long, it's going to cost you way over the £2,500 she's told you is a cap. It's not a cap, that's a calculation based on a factual, based on an infactual house. It's not a cap at all. The cap is per unit, so it still depends on how many units you use. If you have your heating set at 30, all winter long you will spend way more than £2,500. Be careful. Just a serious element there on the podcast. And to be fair, You don't often get serious from me during the show or during the podcast either, but thank you so much, though, for checking out the best bits this week over the last 10 minutes or so. The show is back on Monday at 6 a.m. on atomradio.co.uk, TuneIn Radio Box, Streamer, Smart Speaker and iTunes Radio. And don't forget to subscribe.
Mark Denham.
At Breakfast.
Podcast.